Hello and welcome to Around Town. I'm your host, Sally Collura. Thank you for tuning in again this week. This week I have just one of my favorite people in the world, someone that I met, oh my gosh, over 20 years ago, and we are still in touch, a very special gentleman, Thomas McDonald. Originally hailed from the island, my happy place, Bermuda, and now is a Massachusetts resident. We're going to talk to Thomas and later meet his other half. It's going to be a really fun show. We're going to talk about all things Bermuda, but most especially, here's what happened. It's an autobiography that he wrote, and he has just the most fascinating background and life, and we're going to talk about that. Welcome.
Hi, Sally. So good
Welcome.
to see you.
I know.
Wow.
You never change. We just get a little
grayer, a little
no,
whiter.
It's not gray. It's platinum.
Platinum, a little platinum.
It's platinum.
It's
Remember
been 20 plus. I came to Boston from Bermuda in '98 with Bermuda Tourism, and shortly after that, I met you.
Shortly
so
after that, yes.
Over 20 years.
It had to be. It had to be 1998.
98 and then 99. I know I was last in the studio with you. We did a show probably in like 2001 was the latest or two.
Yeah,
so,
early on, yeah.
Early.
And so we've done a couple of fun things.
Yes, yeah.
Since we've known each other, and we're going to talk about some of those.
Yeah.
Where do I begin?
I want you to begin. No, I want you to begin, though, with that trip that we did to Bermuda.
The trip to Bermuda.
With the Red Hatters.
So, I had this brilliant idea. I was the queen, yes, the queen of the Watch City Red Hat Society right here in the Watch City. And I, at one time, had over 100 princesses in our Watch City group.
Wow.
But then I thought, wouldn't it be fun to take a cruise to Bermuda with Red Hat ladies from everywhere, not just Waltham. So I called my friend and I said, Thomas, let's do a cruise to Bermuda. You were so helpful. You were fantastic.
We were excited. I was excited to get the call.
And you came with us.
And I said, not only I'll put it together, but I'll come down, and once we're on island, I'll arrange all sorts of activities. Carol Holding, remember the artist? Carol headed her to our house.
I could not
she
forget
had us over
that.
there.
She had a high tea.
She had a high tea for us.
And she presented me, I don't have it, I'm remiss, I didn't bring it, but
the painting
the
that
painting
she did, special
that
for the
she
club.
did.
Yeah.
It was my idea. I said, Carol, we're coming down. I know you can't do this right now, but you know that painting you have with the Adirondack chair on the beach? I said, you've got like a purple towel or a blue towel. Take that off and put a red hat there.
She did.
And she said, I couldn't possibly do that before you come. That's a lot of work. Her husband said, she hung up, what was that all about? And she told him, and he said, Carol, go do it. And she not only did it, but she had all the prints made, and she presented me with a beautiful picture of that. But I had this ginormous red hat for her. Did you remember that?
I remember.
Out by the pool. And Thomas, I'll never forget this. I have a memory like an elephant. You saw your first, stingray or something? Remember that?
That huge,
It swam by, and you were so excited. You were like a kid.
I hadn't seen one that close before. It was amazing. It just came along the dockside there at
right
our
by
house.
you.
It was amazing.
I know.
There's a photo. I don't know if it's been up already, but there was a photo of you. There we are.
There we are.
And there's my friend Lawson Mapp, the mayor. He was then the mayor of the city of Hamilton.
We signed his book.
And we signed his book. And then Sherry, the lady next to me, she was the director of tourism at the time.
They were wonderful.
That was a great day.
They were great. It was fun.
We had fun.
And each of those ladies got to sit in his chair.
Yes, and take their photo.
And had their photo taken and signed his book.
Yeah.
And he gave me an autographed copy of the book Bermuda, which I look at every once in a while.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, I was looking at a lot of Bermuda things during the pandemic, and you wrote a book.
Well, I wrote a book, so that's what I was doing.
So we go back a long way, and I think maybe it was around the time that I knew you. We actually got the Bermuda Strollers up here
Right,
to do a
right.
concert. Were you around then,
I wasn't
Thomas?
there, no.
That might have been
Dillis
pre-Thomas.
was before me in this office, in tourism office in Boston. So
You know what
it
we
would have
did?
been him.
Bermuda Strollers came up, and I have one of their albums autographed. They're very senior citizens now, but they came up and they performed at the old Holiday Inn on Totten Pond Road. Hi, Bob Clement. And we actually had sand. We created a beach scene. We got all kinds of tropical plants. The pool was open. The Bermuda Strollers played. It was outstanding, and yes, I did that. That was one of the most fun things I ever organized.
Bermuda?
Besides that beautiful cruise.
That cruise. Bermuda has been blessed for many years. Many generations of New Englanders have been going to Bermuda for honeymoon.
The Lambs.
The Lambs, they're right here in Acton. They live here in Acton. They have a property in Bermuda, the Pompano Beach.
Pompano Beach Club.
But just the people who live in New England, from Connecticut, all 6 states of New England, have been down to Bermuda. They know the properties, they know the hoteliers, they know the restaurateurs, and even the waiters. I mean, they're very familiar.
Yeah.
And where I am in Salem, which is near Marblehead and Peabody and Danvers, I'm meeting people all the time that say, oh my God, I was just there, or I had my graduation celebration there. I went down for college weeks back in those days. It goes on and on and on.
My first cruise to Bermuda was 1983 when I broke my left ankle in 2 places attempting to walk down the sidewalk. There's a little hole and I didn't see, and I went airborne. And my dear friend, my childhood friend, Patty Powers, said to me, so, another fine kettle of fish you got here. I was in a cast on up to my hip, and she was a well-seasoned traveler, and she said, how about a trip to Bermuda? Let's go on a cruise. And I said, as soon as I get out of this, make the reservations. So that was my first trip to Bermuda. And we docked in Hamilton, and the young children would dive over for coins, and the Bermuda Strollers were there performing on the dock, and it was wonderful back in the day.
That's it. Well, all of that is relived in my book, a lot of my young days.
Yeah, what prompted you to write this?
This is such a labor of love that, you know, everyone uses that phrase, but it truly was. Bill, whom you're going to meet later, is my partner of 33 years. We've known each other. We met in '88. Can you imagine? 88. In Chicago. Because I left Bermuda in '85, moved to Chicago, and in '88 I met Bill there. He went to school in Wisconsin, where he grew up, a high school, with a gentleman named Ethan Casey. And Ethan, who edited that book, he's the one that came to me 4 years ago. Bill and I, were out visiting Ethan and his wife in Seattle, where they live now. And he said, I've been meaning to ask this question, and I'm serious. I want you to write your story. And I'm like, Ethan, I'm not a celebrity. Who cares? And he says, no, but you've got many interesting sort of veins of, you know, development in your life, and people should know this. You're a person of color. You come from an island that's a colony. You've moved to America. That was a colony a long time ago. No longer is.
You lost.
And you're in a LGBT, you know, lifestyle with a same-sex partner. All of those things. He said all of those things have, you know, they're going to resonate with people. And I talked to Bill. I said, you know, you're going to be in half of this book. What do you think? And he was like, well, Ethan's credible. He's lived in various places around the world. In fact, 2005 and 6, I was living in the UK for Bermuda tourism. They transferred me to London. And Ethan, by coincidence, had already transferred to London for his own career purposes. And so our relationship was able to bond then. So back to 4 years ago, he says, you got to write this book. And I thought, okay. So didn't know pandemic was coming.
Nobody did. We were blindsided.
I get stuck in, and he said, we're going to need about 100, maybe 90,000 to 100,000 words is going to be the final size of the book. I got going, and finally around 140,000 words, Sally, I thought, okay, there's got to be enough here. So I was sending him chunks of it as I was writing it. And that really is how we got going. It was just amazing.
So it went through the editing process, obviously.
Well, yeah, we're down to the 95,000 words.
Yeah.
260 pages or something.
Yeah.
But can I tell you my secret?
Please.
For some reason in my mid-20s, later 20s, I don't know whether it was suggested to me or I woke up one morning, I started writing a daily journal, a diary, every day. Some days 1 line or 2 lines, some days 2 pages, depending on what went down that day.
Sure.
So in my home, I've got 40 years of diaries. So that made it easy to do from my sort of the years I came to America to now, because it was already documented. So I just had to spend a few months reading my diaries and extracting, oh, this is an interesting story, not so much, that's something. And so it's all there. Then I went back to Bermuda to meet with my family and friends and others to interview them about the early years. You know, who was she and where did they live and who did what and yada yada, putting dates on things. So then I could get that comprehensive,
That's
autobiography
great.
Pulled together.
Take us back a little bit. Here's what happened, a black man's discoveries and decisions.
Yeah.
And tell my viewers a little bit about Bermuda back in the day and just kind of what you went through. You're a black man, you're educated, and you have a life partner.
Yeah.
That couldn't happen
then. You see, I grew up in the 50s. And by the time I sort of sorted things out in my teens as to my lifestyle and what have you, I realized that this is not going to happen here in Bermuda. It was just about starting to happen in '69 when the Stonewall riots in New York City occurred and gay people for the first time said, okay, no more. We're not going to take it anymore. This stops today. And I went to live in New York City in 1974, so only 5 years had gone by, and I thought that would be my liberating moment, moving to New York City. And I only stayed about a year because I thought, I got to get back to Bermuda where I can earn money and do much better. But it was a tough time growing up as a black kid in Bermuda because there were 2 Bermudas, and there, to some degree there still is. There's the Bermuda that you see when you come down on the cruise ship.
Yes.
And you get off and you see the palm trees and you see the fun things. You go golfing and tennis and horseback riding and you enjoy your week in Bermuda and everything's splendid. But back in the 50s and earlier, the black people that were serving you your breakfast, they couldn't eat in that restaurant. They couldn't walk in the front door of that hotel. And on and on. So it was a pretty hard time for Bermudians, as it was here in the US for people of color.
Sure.
My mom has 100 of those stories that she can share with us. And so for me, I thought, I'm not going to live in a country where I cannot be me. It was important for me to be me. And so hence the move to the United States in 1985. And then things really changed. By then, there was much more happening in terms of LGBT lifestyle.
Sure.
And for civil rights. So there was a lot of positive things that were happening that made it possible for Bill and I to meet and to develop our relationship and enjoy our lives. We're together 33 years. And
I know. 33 years,
Yeah.
and you 2 have been all around the world, and we're going to talk about that because that's in the book as well. And your family, actually, you come from a great stock, age-wise. Bless your mother. And
88 next month.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well,
your siblings.
that's where the book begins with me establishing for the reader my heritage, my family, and my mom was born to a white man. We thought was Scottish because our last name is MacDonald, M-A-C. But after Bill's sisters gave me a DNA test thing a couple of years ago, Ancestry. So we did all that, and here comes all the stats, right? And oh my God, I'm like 1% Scottish, but I'm 25% English.
But that was not uncommon, though, right?
No.
For the island,
No.
and even for America.
Right.
I mean, we had a president.
Right.
that, back in the day.
Yeah.
So
my grandmother was able to marry this white guy, and now she was the product of interracial parents as well.
Oh, okay.
So she marries this I say white guy in all due respect to my grandfather. They get married in 1930, or 33, because it's the year my mom was born. And they were able to coexist. Well, something unfortunate happened. You'll read about it in the book. And my grandmother died when my mother was 6. And so that splintered my mom and her siblings. Everybody went to live with other relatives, and that became very tough for them.
I'll bet.
And then we deal with, just the other day I was watching a program, there's a movie coming out on passing. This is where people of color who are light enough looked white and could live as a white person and enjoy the privilege, what we refer to as white privilege
As long
today.
as they don't talk about it.
As long as they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I have an aunt, my mother's very sister, who has lived like that practically her whole life. And still does. She lives in the United States, and she's lived in the United States for most of her life. But when she was a teenager, she went to live in in the Bronx with an aunt, because that aunt was passing, who was married to an Italian. And so the 3 of them could live tucked away in the Bronx as a white family, and all would be well. But my mother was a little too brown to pass. She got left behind.
Oh, no.
And so, anyway.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so that's the quick version. I mean,
sure.
The rest is in the book, but that's the quick version on the start of it.
And we're going to tell people how they can get the book, too.
The book's available on Amazon only at the moment. So you go to Amazon, you click books, and you put in "Here is what happened," or my name, or both, and up it pops. And it's only $18.95. It's not expensive.
No, it
and
isn't.
You'll get it in 2-3 days. It'll be delivered to you by Amazon.
That's great. Amazon's really great like that. And so I do have to say a special hello to my friends in Bermuda, who you know, actually. Zolita, Zoe, Paula, and Wendy. Hello. Hope you enjoy the show. I met them 20 years ago, 21, 22 years ago, and we've been friends ever since. And they were wonderful. When I turned a particular age, I almost slipped. And I was in Bermuda at the time. Wendy, the 3 of them took me to Henry VIII.
Henry VIII, yeah.
And we had a beautiful buffet. And then the waitress came out after our buffet with a big box. They gave me this beautiful teapot that Wendy had done in ceramics, and she actually painted on it the front of my tea room.
Isn't that amazing?
And it was, I have it, I use
Beautiful.
it. Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. 3 very special ladies.
Yeah,
so when
that's nice.
they come here, we go shopping, or we used to go shopping lots, but
in fact, that's the last time I saw you. It was in your tea room a couple of years ago, before
I met Bill
hit.
quickly in the tea room one time.
Yeah,
so it's nice to see that he's here with you.
Yeah.
So getting back to the book. So when you talk about your family, the attorneys.
We talked about the start, so let's talk about what it ended up being. I mean, my mom has 4 kids. I'm the oldest of the 4, and I have 2 brothers and 1 sister. The brother after me, Francis is his name. First of all, my mom then got married to a gentleman named Mussenden. So she was MacDonald as her maiden name, and I got her maiden name because her and my father never really did much. They got together romantically. He ran off after she got pregnant. That was the end of that. So that's why everywhere. I'm MacDonald. Now she marries this gentleman, Mussenden, and she has the kids for him. So my brother Francis, who is Francis Mussenden, he became the CEO of the telephone company in Bermuda. And I'm pretty sure he's the first man of color to head up that operation. He's retired now. And then my sister, who has done very well in the reinsurance business and still works in reinsurance in Bermuda and does very well. And my baby brother, 10 years younger, is Larry Mussenden. Now, Larry was the ADC to the governor at one point in time, and he wanted to pursue a law degree. and the governor assisted by getting him sort of a full-blown
scholarship
to go to
ride.
the University of Kent. Off he goes, gets his law degree. He returns with the understanding that he was going to put in about 5 years of service working for the government, which he did. And then he left to go into private practice and other things. He became Bermuda's, I believe, the youngest Attorney General at one point in time.
Wow.
And that was around 2004. And there's a photo on the back of the book.
I saw that.
Or is it
What
this
a
little
great
guy
photo.
here? There's a photo here of the three of us, all in our me and my Bermuda shorts.
Right,
because
right.
I was the big guy at Bermuda Tourism for the UK at that time.
Right.
And my brother Francis was still heading up the telephone company, and Larry was the Attorney General.
That's a wonderful picture of you.
It's just
All of
amazing
you.
that
Yeah.
this very simple woman was able to encourage and keep these 4 kids
In line?
and we haven't looked back. It's
Yeah,
been a
that's
magical trip for all of us.
A family success story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of them, and
I know.
and of course they couldn't wait for me to autograph a book and send it down. They went to Amazon right away, bought the book right away, and they both read the book. And but
So-
I'm going down soon to see
So
them.
will you be doing, you're going to go to Bermuda, back
I'm
home
hoping
for a
when I
little
go
bit.
down, I can do a little something with one of the
Book
bookstores
signing or
there.
something you
Yeah, I'm talking to
should.
one of the bookstores, and
Yeah.
we're trying to see what we can put together to do a book signing.
Is
and
that
the
little
Bermuda,
bookshop still?
right there off
right
of
up-
Front Street and
Yeah,
Queen Street?
yeah.
Yep, the Bermuda bookstore, still
Next to the linen shop?
Yes, that's the one.
Still there?
That's the one, still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And the library have been in touch with me to say that they want to put the book on their shelves, and so they need to get a few copies, and I'm going to deliver those to them.
Oh, that's
so that they
great.
can put it in the library.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
It's just,
oh my God.
Sally, it's been unimaginable. It's
I
really been
know.
amazing.
So I think it's time to call Bill in. He's been
Okay.
sitting back there enjoying the show. Come on over,
So
Bill.
you can sit in here.
Being patient.
Yeah,
Being
yeah.
patient.
So, Bill, welcome.
Thank you,
What's
Sally,
your
for having
take on
us.
all this? Are you so proud?
Incredibly proud. I mean, who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Most people dream about writing a book or
Yes.
say they're going to do it, but to actually sit down, take the time, and write, it takes patience and skill, and he just decided, I'm going to do it, and sat down and did it.
I can't wait to read it.
But the question that gets asked is,
Yeah.
so what did Bill do while you were writing this over the 4-year
So what
period?
did you do?
Well, I did not
you
let
brought lots
him,
of coffee.
but I did not let him see one word of it until it was finished.
Really?
He never read or sent, well, that I
Nope.
know of.
Nope, I didn't read any of it. I
He
didn't read
never read.
While you were sleeping.
I would be in the office. He'd go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. I'd go to the office until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Sure,
The office
sure.
within our home.
Right.
And I'd be banging away, writing it all out, and sending it off to the editor, to Ethan, bit by bit. And he had the restraint
not to read it because
not to read it.
we talked about it, and I didn't want to influence his voice in any
Sure,
way. This was
sure.
a book from him.
Even though he's in half of it.
Well, yeah, but a lot of his family is in there, and I think his opinions are in there. His opinions about colonialism, racism,
Yeah.
LGBTQ. I mean, and it needed to come from him. I didn't want to color that in any way with my own opinions. And
He lived
Very
it.
good.
Yes.
And-
Yeah, he
and
lived
his
it. And then we
family
lived it. I mean,
Yeah,
when we
you both.
met,
Yeah, absolutely.
there we are at the farmhouse in Wisconsin, for
Oh,
example.
that looks like a
That's
fun
a couple
picture.
years ago.
You have a sense of humor.
Yeah, and that's the farmhouse that Bill's
Grandfather did not build, but purchased,
But
and
purchased
so we've
that.
been in for 3 generations now.
Right, and now here we are in Salem at one of the LGBT North Shore Pride
yeah, yeah.
events, and I was am a founding member of North Shore Pride back in 2011, and we still hold the largest pride in the New England area outside of Boston.
Really?
Salem Pride. It's gotten to be quite a big event every year. It's usually in June every
That's
year.
great.
And it's
Well, there's
very
a
successful.
real sort of an eclectic kind of population on the North Shore,
On the
too,
North Shore.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
And we really should talk about your award, too. And then, before the end of the show, we're winding this down. about your travels together. But you received recognition at the Hawthorne Hotel recently.
Two things have happened. I did some work with the city of Salem in their race equity task force, and I was one of the co-hosts of the subcommittee for public safety, which is the police, and that's the hot one.
Sure.
And so we took a year of meeting with the police and figuring out where Salem was in the spectrum of things in terms of policing. And I got recognized for that very nicely. Our state representative, Paul Tucker, and our mayor of Salem, Kim Driscoll, the other night said some very nice things about me, which was
wonderful.
Amazing. So that's really
congratulations.
A great feeling to have
and
done
I
that.
saw some of those photos.
Yep.
And while we've only got like a minute left, minute and a half, your travels. Oh my God! Can I tell you, I enjoyed all the photos that you posted on Facebook and.
Well, there's a couple that I gave you, but I started traveling, and I don't know if it's been up on the screen yet, but my first trip to Europe, I was 17 years old, and I went to Rome, and I went to Venice and London, and there I am with a pigeon on my shoulder in St. Mark's Square. But that travel bug bit me hard, and I've been traveling and taking photographs ever since. But Bill and I have been to New Zealand now, Australia
India.
Twice, India.
Yeah,
I'm just living my life through your photos.
Cruising through Europe from Amsterdam to Prague. And,
yeah, we've been very fortunate to have the ability to get out and travel, and of course COVID has stopped that for a while, but we'll get back at it again. We've got lots on the list to see
all in
yet.
due time, beginning with Bermuda.
Yes, we're taking our trip to Bermuda, first time in 2 years, very soon.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's going to be a great trip. It'll be nice for his family to see him now that the book's written, get their autographs.
Absolutely. And your mother is probably, that's going to be the happiest day when she sees your face
and then,
after this COVID thing.
Yeah, that's my next month when I see her, or no, this month, a few weeks, I'm looking to see her, and I just want to, when I give her the book and we sit together, and I can't wait for that moment.
Yeah.
That's,
will you take a picture and send it to me?
Yes, I can.
A picture of you with your mom?
I can.
Yeah, that's great. I can't thank you enough for coming down through all that traffic from the North Shore to be here and do this with me.
Right.
And
my website.
yes, please do.
ThomasHMacDonald.com.
M-A-C, not M-C.
ThomasHMacDonald.com, and there you'll be able to order an autographed copy, or you can go straight to Amazon and get the book delivered from them.
But you want an autographed copy.
Of course.
Right.
And I'm going to autograph your copy as we finish up here.
As we finish up. and again, I can't thank you enough. And actually, I think that website is right on the bottom of that photo.
Yeah,
excellent.
okay,
Yes.
Great.
So thank you again for being here.
Great to see you.
And it was great to see you again, Bill. We're going to have tea when you come back at some point at the Tea Leaf.
All right.
Thank you again. So thank you for tuning in once again, and hope to see you next time. Please stay well, and God bless.